Well, good evening. Decided to do a live stream this Saturday evening in Southern California. Been a crazy week at work. My coworker who helps me manage a team of developers has was gone all this week for training, so that left me doing two jobs, and well, you know how that goes. Sometimes you just need to take a break, and right now I'm trying to figure out through the YouTube app how to find my own live stream, which is kind of crazy. Um, and I'm trying to see if it's going to notify me that I'm actually live streaming right now. So my name's Mark K6WKE, and like I said, it's a Saturday night here in Southern California. Had a nice 36-mile bike ride today. I rode out to a place called Mission Bay Jetty here in San Diego and back. So it was nice to get out and do one of my other passions, which is long distance cycling. Next weekend's plans are for about a 90 miler, heading to a little town in this area called Julian, California. It's all uphill, and to about, so I live at roughly 250 some odd feet above sea level. This is around 3,800, give or take. Like I said, lots of uphill, and I still cannot figure out why I cannot see my own live stream. I just don't know what's going on. This one. Nope, it just takes me to the main page. It doesn't even show that I'm currently live streaming. Looking under videos. Don't need to sign in. All right, well, it's worked in the past. I'm not going to worry about trying to monitor this thing. I'm just going to get to it. So I'm finishing up on the Arizona AQRP, Austin QRP Club's vector network analyzer, antenna analyzer. So I guess this will be video 3 on it. I ran into, well, on the previous video I had left off I was missing a capacitor. So I took one out of my stock here, and we're going to get that put together, get that finished up. I actually had misplaced, I had misplaced all the headers they sent me for connecting the two boards together for the STM32. This board here has headers on it, and they sent me single row headers that I could cut in half or cut the length. And well, there we are. Sorry about that. Blow out the video there. So far, I misplaced them. I don't know where they went. They're not on my bench. They're not in any other part of the house, my home office. I've been looking and, well, couldn't find it. So I ordered some more. And we'll get to it. So C15's missing. It's 470 nanofarad or 0.47 microfarad. Nanofarad is to the -9. I'm sorry, picofarad would be 470,000 picofarad, and microfarad would be 0.47. Pico is 10 to the -6. Nano is 10 to -9. This is what we need. That little part right there. And I'm trying out some different tools. So one of the things that can be difficult doing some surface mount work is the fact that you know, you got your tweezers and all, and you have to hold the part in the tweezers. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But sometimes the parts go flying, very common. Never see them again typically. Or because you're holding it, it makes your hand shake just a tiny bit. So what I found was some of these other, hey, wait a minute, I don't have to do it this way. I invested in a much better top camera. Now you guys can see everything that's on my bench. I can zoom in. And while I work on things, so you don't have to just be under the scope all the time. So I found these at the San Diego County Fair. There's one of the vendors there that sells all kinds of stainless steel tools, lots of scissors and dental tools and pokers and tweezers, all kinds of stuff. And I found these that auto close. So I'm thinking, now that I can pick up a part and I don't have to hold on to it, it's going to make it a lot nicer, easier for me to actually, well, to put the part down. My hands won't shake as much because I don't have that stress. So for some of you, maybe hand shaking might be a problem. And there are some things you can do to help alleviate it. One of them is, you may not like this, but don't have caffeine. And that's pretty much what I do. I have decaf most of the time, or half calf coffee to help keep my hands from shaking too much. Some of the other things you can do with your hands is just lay them, if they're shaking a lot, is to just lay them on the bench for a bit, give them a chance to rest, and hopefully stretch them maybe, or just let them sit there for a few minutes. Can help calm your hands down. So now that you can actually see what I'm doing on my bench, it's given me a lot more flexibility. I can actually do the work in the case and things. I can zoom in and out pretty nicely, so you get a better idea of what's going on, and I don't have to talk about the subject so much. But for right now, we got to get that capacitor put back on. So we'll stick that on there for right now, and I'm not going to fire up the hot air for this, not for the one thing. Where I see the solder ball hiding there. See these things? Yeah. What happens when you use paste? I don't like using paste anymore. So I absolutely have to. You can see some more right in here. See that? Solder paste. Well, don't use solder paste. That's pretty much what I'm going to stop doing. Okay. So we got that there. We I'm gonna put flux down on the pad here to get get things cleaned off. Doesn't take a lot. And I did not grab any towels. Or my camera's crooked on the top of the scope. For some reason, that is not square according to my square in my vision. Not square there, so there we go. Okay. Oh, I didn't turn my soldering iron on. Let's give it a couple of minutes. So what I did was with the top well, since I lost the headers that they sent me, and I did look all over the place. I went to Amazon and I found one of these kits of headers. They're like $15, and they're dual headers. They're designed for Raspberry Pi type work or Arduinos and things, and they will do what we need to do here tonight. So these will get put on once I get that capacitor replaced. So we need a couple of those like that. Sit here like so, and then the other smaller one is right here. That's for the display. It goes onto this side here. Okay. So we'll get all that soldered down, get the stack put together. I have to review powering this thing up. I have never used an STM32 board before. I'm pretty sure the STM board gets its power from the AQRP board. But I need to confirm that and review. After that, once all this is put together and figured out, the next steps will be to deal with the encoders. And these encoders are used for making the various adjustments that you'll see on the display, things like that. And they have their own pins. This is probably these two up here on top are for the switching. And get a little better look at this. And this is for the clockwise, counterclockwise signal for the microprocessor to detect. So you're moving your menus up and down or moving a cursor around to take a measurement or evaluate a measurement on the screen. And I won't be doing this tonight, but in another upcoming video I'll show you how to make wiring harnesses. So they sent me some flat ribbon cable to, pretty standard, 26 gauge type ribbon cable to mount all this together to the encoders here. And I don't like that. That doesn't seem clean. Yeah, a big word for it, clean. I want to, actually I'll make some wiring harnesses and with some 3 pin 0.1 header connectors that I have in another box that looks like this. It's the 0.25. Those are 2mm. Okay, so I have one of these, another of these kits that I got from Amazon that have all these different, that's backwards, all these different little headers in it. And here's ones that solder down to the board. And here's the pins for the females here. They get crimped on the end of the wire and put in here. And what we'll do is I'll show you how to create I will show you how to create a nice looking wiring harnesses. They're real easy to do. And then the idea is that this would slide into here. Once the pins are in, this won't be so loose, but we'll be able to put, one up here and one here for the switching, and it'll have a nice it'll go nicely into these here for selection, and we'll mount some of the female here like so. Let me get one out. That's a 3. Is that a 4? That's a 3. So we put one of these here. That's looking a little very tight. Look at that. Very tight. We might skip that part and just wire it directly to the board. Not sure yet. We'll have to. That side isn't as deep, so this side might work. So yeah, it looks like in that orientation, that would work. So we'll have a nice little wiring harness come off. Maybe we'll make it like 8 inches long, and then connect into what I do with the other part. See, things just disappear. I'm not sure why. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Let's see. That'll plug in to here and be mounted on the chassis. So that way things are firmly connected, and when you need to work on it or make an upgrade, whatever, there are some modifications for it. You can do, oh, there it is. You can do it that way. The other thing is there are also some 3 that came with the kit. I could just as well take this out, say put this in here this way if you want, and then no, that would be too long, so we won't do it that way. I like the solution better. We'll use these little connectors that'll connect together like so, and we'll be able to connect it to the inside, to all the encoders inside the box. So let's get these off, and we will get that capacitor. And I lost my flipping all this around. I lost my flux. Okay, hold on. I gotta bring the scope in. Can't see what I'm doing. Welcome to your 5th. No, sorry. Still getting used to my buttons here. So what I've done is, so I don't have to keep looking at the screen, I can switch scenes by the buttons on my mouse. I bought one of those gaming mouses that has all these different buttons on it. I can assign them to the different scenes in Open Broadcast Studio. Or sorry, I'm sorry, Open Broadcast Software. So now I'm using one of the newer tweezers to hold the part, and I don't have to strain my hands in order to do this correctly. So now this down. Ooh, I think I am going to like having self-gripping tweezers. That is one of those things where, why didn't I think of that earlier? Solder down. Got some extra junk on there. A little extra here. The capacitor. Like so. Now this is going to be pretty tight. I hope it fits on the pads. It's not the right size. So I'm hoping I can solder this larger size capacitor down on those pads. So let's see here. So, and I can, guess I didn't. Hold on a second, give it. I'm afraid it's going to be a little too large. It is a little crooked. I believe this is just a filter cap, so it doesn't really. Doesn't. All right. Okay, there's one side. Let's see if I can tack in the other side, if I can get some solder underneath there. Flip it around. I knew it was going to be tight, but let's see if I can. Yeah, you can see it went under the pad there. Let's take a Yeah, I was able to get it down there. Okay, that will work. Clean that up after I put the headers on. So now we just need to get the headers on. That won't be too bad. Those things go on pretty straight. Put them both on at the same time so that way the board stays up. There's no orientation to these. Push them down on the tack down the corners. What I'm gonna do. One of the challenges with super thin solder, there's not a lot of flux in them. It can make it difficult to solder anything. So we'll just give our pins a little squirt flux here. Try not to make it too thick. Put some on the one I already did. We can reflow that one. Okay, give this a go. Okay, now we just go down the line. Sorry. Reflections of a bald guy. Get these wrapped up. Too much solder on them. I can zoom in a little more until that's about the best it'll do. So it was a nice ride today. One of the nicest days we've had so far. We've had a lot of rain this year in Southern California. I think we're like 11 inches or something. And we typically get, well, I think our normal average is around 6. But it was just raining into May, which is really not what we normally have. I got out today, went on the ride, didn't feel too bad. Always a headwind. When I head west, there's always a headwind. And it was a cool breeze, but when it was no breeze, or when I was coming back home, I was going with the wind. It got hot, and that's a challenge. So it's about 17.5 miles to the beach where I live. Beach was packed. The ocean beach was busy. It's a dog beach there, so you can let your dog roam free and run through all the polluted brackish water that comes from the San Diego River onto the ocean. And there were kids everywhere, and I'm on the other side of that beach, on the other side of San Diego River, where it drains into the Pacific. Lots of boats out fishing today, a few sailboats. I used to sail, but unfortunately I could never get over getting seasick, no matter what I did. I did everything. Of course, a lot of people can just take Dramamine or Bonine type thing, or Bonine, however it's pronounced. But I even tried scopolamine, a little patch behind your ear. That didn't work. There's supposedly pressure points on your wrist. So there's these bands you can buy. Go on your wrist. They look like half a marble. They push on that spot. That didn't work. So my last trip, I was 19 or so. No, I wasn't 19. I was 18. I had enlisted in the Navy. Hard to believe. What do you mean? You get seasick. Why are you going in the Navy? Well, that's the predominant military here, other than the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps wouldn't be for me. So I didn't go. Obviously, didn't go that route. So I went in the Navy, and a buddy of mine, actually friends of the family, he's a master chief on one of the ships that were stationed here, and his CO, and we were going to do the Long Beach to Ensenada yacht race, a sailboat race, over the weekend. And we had to take the boat from San Diego Bay to Long Beach, which in a car is about, I don't know, depending on traffic, hour and a half drive. And we weren't on the water an hour or so, and I started getting seasick off the coast of La Jolla. And typically, sometimes when you, how should I say, lose your cookies, past, it helps. You're fine. The other thing is that you just wait it out, and after maybe 6-8 hours, it starts to alleviate, it starts to go away. And actually, that's on all the way up there. I was flat on the outside deck, one arm over the rail, and being of no help to the other two. And they were going to tell me everything about the Navy, boot camp, what to expect, stuff like that. It didn't happen that way. So by the time we got there in the morning, we left like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time we got up to Long Beach, which was around sunrise, taking a boat north from San Diego is against the wind. So you have to motor. A lot of sailboats have motors in them, small ones, to make it to Long Beach. And they go about 6 knots, not very fast. So we arrived in the morning, right around sunrise, and I started feeling better. And got in, we docked the boat, I'm hungry, I'm ready for breakfast. We get into the clubhouse there at, I don't know what yacht club it was. I'm sitting there for a few minutes and I start getting motion sickness again because I had now stopped moving. So that was it. My dad came up, drove. I took the train home. And that was the last time I was on a sailboat. So this was like 1986. I think it was spring of 86, if I remember right. And then I went off to boot camp. Did I not put? Nope. Just flux on that row. I left for boot camp in August of 86. August 13th to be exact. And went to boot camp here in San Diego. All right, fine. Boot camp, is important. Doesn't matter that time of year where you go. Maybe Orlando at the time, which was still open. Would be pretty harsh. If you've ever been to Orlando in August, you know what I'm talking about. And then Great Lakes, I don't know what that was like. But San Diego, San Diego. I went in with my rate already. After I graduated boot camp, I got sent to A school in Pensacola, Florida, where I went to Morse code school. Problem then was I didn't want to go to Morse code school. I wanted to go to electronics school. Didn't want to, but I had no choice. I was stuck because the R in my rate stood for repair according to the recruiter, but no, it didn't. It stood for reception, and that meant Morse code. So I already knew Morse code. I was pretty solid, 15 words a minute. Yeah, in order to graduate the course, you needed, I think it was 20 words a minute. Now, these aren't ARRL bulletins being transmitted from QST magazine. These are random 5-figure groups. So you never knew what was coming. And very somewhat challenging because I had to learn actually the Morse code of the Cyrillic alphabet, which I didn't know. When I first started copying on a machine called Ralph, and this machine was actually a core memory computer that controlled something like, I don't know, 32 different receive positions in the Morse code lab. And we sat at these positions and it was sending code. And if you got above a certain percentage, I don't remember what it was like. I think it was like 97% or something. There was a ding. You heard a loud ding, and a light would light up in your area. And you got to go to the next level, next speed. Well, I'd hit those Cyrillic, I would hit those Cyrillic characters. It would just bring me to a stop. I was like, what is that? Took me a little while to finally get the hang of them. Well, all I needed to learn was 4 of them. So it was a 19-week course that I finished in about 6. There were academics with it, but I finished the Morse code portion with it about 6 weeks. And I did not tell my Morse code instructor that I already knew Morse code, because one of the things the Master Chief told me was boot camp in A school, eyes, ears open, mouth closed. So I didn't say anything to anyone. Just touching up some of these here. Look pretty good. Got enough solder on them. Okay. Oh, I got the other side to check too. So I did just that. Well, one day, I was a very active Mars member at the time. And at Corey Station, NNN0, November, India Golf, where I met 2 great guys. Paul, my friend Paul, WD8OSU. He was the Mars officer there. And another buddy of mine who is now a silent key, KV7J, Otto. And passed away, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. It was a Vietnam era in the Army. I guess it just caught up with him. passed away. But we remained friends. We didn't have access to the internet at the time. So we stayed in touch via packet radio. Okay, that was fine. Put the top half on. Oops. Still getting used to my buttons. I tried getting back into Mars later on. You go to my website, ka6wke.net, look under mobiles. I used to be, when my family was really young, I was very much into HF mobile. It was the only time I could really operate. You know, when you have 3 kids under the age of 10, there's not a lot of free time. So I spent a lot of time coaching their soccer teams and all their school involvement and things. So I had a job. My job actually required me to drive quite a bit. So I built out several HF mobiles to take with me. And I did a lot of operating from the mobiles. So around 2004, tried to get back into Navy Mars. And I did, but it had greatly changed what I was used to at November India Gulf. No more CW nets. And that was the thing with Otto. He was an amazing CW operator. The first time I was on a CW net, a Mars net with him, he just gave me a piece of paper and pencil and said, hey, you know, copy call signs. It's like, how hard can that be? Whew, wow. Well above 25 words a minute, I'd say. And I was barely hanging on. And he would, at the time, he was copying in his head all the call signs he was remembering. There must have been probably 20 of them, I guess. He'd go get a cup of coffee, would open the window. I'm trying to write these things down, and he's all over the Mars station doing other things. And then when the last check-in occurs, where the check-ins stop, he goes to the typewriter and just starts hammering them out. Who's got traffic? Doesn't have traffic? And I'm just like, my jaw's on the floor. It's like, oh, wow. So despite not wanting to be a Morse code operator in the Navy, I really put more effort into it and continued, even though I met the minimum requirements to pass the course. I kept going. And by the time I was done with the course, I was 5-figure groups at about 28 words a minute with around 97% accurate, which screwed me up a bit for amateur radio, because now they're words and I'm trying to like read it. I'm copying it down and I'm reading. I'm trying to, and everything just got, oh, it was awful. Why can't I copy this? And Otto said, just listen to it like someone's talking to you. Just go ahead and remember the conversation. It's like this huge epiphany of how to copy higher speed code. Do it in your head. And then words started. I started to copy full words. Instead of hearing a separate R, a separate S, a separate T, when someone sent it to me, I heard RST just as one thing. And now that I do dabble in contesting, I do a lot of copying in my head. I can nail a lot of the call signs. I don't have to do one letter at a time. I wait for the whole call sign to go through and then enter it into the logging software. And then typically it's a serial number or a state or something else that comes along the line. So you already know kind of what the format's going to be. Just do it in your head. Just like someone's talking to you. And there was a time when I was doing all this HF mobile work, exactly what I did. I converted a 2-button mouse to a keyer, not a keyer, but a key. I could use the built-in keyer on my rig. And I used the mouse because, well, it fit my hand really well. It's cheap. Cheap's good when you have a young family. And it was stiff enough, the switches were stiff enough that they didn't bounce. So I didn't accidentally send something I didn't need to. So there you go. I did a lot of mobile CW that way. All copying in my head. I had a little notepad next to me in the passenger seat. And I wouldn't even look. I'd just write down what the call sign was in big letters, you know, and the time. And I would, every so often, I would put it in the logbook. Okay, take a look at this under the scope. See what this way. And shiny. My eyepiece. Hold on a second. Eyepiece. Excuse me. I don't think I've touched any of these up. They look great. All right. So now we get to stack this up. So pin 1 is right here. See here, pin 1 here, so it goes this way. Carefully rock it on there. Still needs to be cleaned. Both have to be on there at the same time. You can't do one side or the other, then the other. You put it together. At the moment, got some offset here for some. Flat on the board. Not holding my tongue right. Sure. Not go this way. No, I won't. Pin up here. Up here. Sorry, I need to back this out a little bit. Figure out what's going on. Get one side. There it is. A little snug, and I think you want it snug. So loose it comes apart again. Careful. Push that in. There we are. Seated on that side. Careful. So it looks like these, see that, but quite touching. Let's put something under here to hold the board up. Let's wring this out. Make sure the other side is making contact. Let's check. Okay. Well, we don't need to check all of them. Okay. This one. Probably my next investment is a DMM that shows up on the screen. Okay, so that's the way that goes. Now, the display, well, can only go one way, like this. But that's the stack. Now, to double check everything with the manual, make sure this even has a SD card in it. There's a couple, yeah. So that's what it looks like when it's all the headers are on. Soldered nicely. Now, this doesn't have a gap in it like this side does. This side does. I don't see that. You see where it doesn't quite. It's like curved in the middle here. I don't know if that's gonna. I don't think it'll affect operation or anything. Do a quick continuity middle here just to be safe. Yeah. Okay. There. All right. So that's gonna be it for this evening. Quick little. I don't know how long we've been on here. Oh, not quite an hour. That's not too bad. My name's Mark, K6WKE, and this was just a throw together live stream, kind of work on with the new top camera. You can see more of what's on the project scale, not so much a component scale of the projects. Hope you enjoyed it. And while you're at it, if you don't mind, clicking like at the bottom of below the description there, below the video, and clicking subscribe right next to it. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe, because although I have a schedule of every Saturday of the month, first Saturday of the month, sometimes I get time, unsupervised time, and I get to do radio work, and I'll just have a pop-up video, and if you subscribe, you'll be notified that I'm live and can join me. You can find me at everything about the live stream at KA6 Whiskey Kilo Echo.net. Big red letters there that say live stream. And you can find other places to reach me from there on Facebook. I have a low volume announcement email group that you can join. Of course, YouTube and Twitter. I'm on the Twitters. Although I don't post too much there, so don't expect a lot, but I do a lot of announcements there and other things I find interesting. I just joined Instagram this week, so I'm going to be figuring that out and how I could use that for announcements and project updates and things like that. And I've heard of Snapchat too. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. Really don't know anything about it, but I'll check it out anyways. So I'm going to say 7.3 for tonight. And for those of you that are makers that don't know what 7.3 is, it just means best wishes. It's a a term of endearment from when Morse code ruled the world, both on radio and over telegraph lines. And if you are really into Morse code, I challenge you, if you're at Disneyland, to try and copy the Morse code that's at the train station in New Orleans. I've tried and I failed miserably. I mean, I understand the type of code it is. I believe it's Continental code that's used, back in the railroad, or railroad code if that's the same thing. But it's inverted, where we learn Morse code by listening to the different sounds, the dits and the das. Sounders mark the beginning and end of the code, of each element of the code. So you're actually listening for the silence in between the two clicks, clacks, whatever they're called. And that has been proven to be incredibly challenging for me to try and do, because it's the exact opposite of anything I have ever learned with Morse code. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to take off. It's wife's got a movie, and we're going to sit and watch that. So thanks again for joining me on Bench Therapy. This is what this is about. Helping your stress levels at the end of the week. Have some fun. And I will see you on July. Well, yeah. And I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to put my mug shot up there on the screen or not. I'm just not too sure. I always believed I have a face for radio, but we'll have to. I'm still thinking about it. See if I'll do that. Anyways, have a good evening, and I will catch you July 6th.